congratulations on the win. And I don't know how if it feels this way, but in a lot of ways, this is a record-breaking season for the Sounders in terms of goal difference, in terms of multi-goal wins. Really, I think it's your best even points per game since 2014. I mean, does it feel that way, that it was all that successful, or is it? I mean, like, how do you look back on this regular season?
Interesting, Jeremiah. Thank you for sharing that statistical analysis. Best points per game since 2014. Obviously, this is a shortened season, so you have a few more chances to go either way. 2020 hasn't been anywhere close to normal, Jeremiah. I think this one, you're certainly going to reflect on it, because you always do that. You always reflect what you can do better, what achievements you accomplished. How did you make those things happen? I think the 4 goals tonight was just what we needed. I had spoken with you guys earlier in the week about, just having the team put on a good performance and building a little bit of momentum into the playoffs. And I think we accomplished that. I think that's one, mini micro ecosystem that we actually did accomplish tonight. I think Jordan getting a goal was good for him, his confidence. Raul scoring, Nico scoring, doing all the things he normally does. Jordan's effort on the last goal, putting San Jose under immense pressure. Raul inside the box for the own goal. I mean, I was very happy that the big players were able to contribute to the scoreline. And then, we had a decent performance defensively. Certainly we'll take a look at the goal, but, sometimes those things happen.
Next, Masvida.
Yeah, hey, Brian, I know you could talk about, it's a team win, and so you could talk about pretty much every player, but the guy that you have on your team with a C on his jersey, just the way that he elevated his game today, and specifically he opens up the scoring, it's 2-1, and then his pressure gets the ball and he feeds Jordan Morris for the 3-1. I'm just wondering about that leadership that's there.
Yeah, I can talk about him, or maybe you were talking about CR, maybe not the captain. I know what he's. Alex is trying to make sure that I understood the question, Maz. I understood the question. I'm just trying to make it into a team answer, because look, everybody, when Alex came on, he put a little bit of pressure on and we scored a goal. I think overall defensively, our immediate pressure, JP did a really good job. Many points of the game. Christian in the middle part of the field was good. Everybody was good. We wanted to make sure, one of the things we talked about at halftime was, in the first half, I thought we were chasing a little bit too much. We weren't very efficient in our defending. San Jose was able to kind of work their way out of some pressure. And so in the second half, we wanted to be a little bit better defensively. The best time to defend is when you just lose the ball. If you can win it back right away before the opponent gets organized, before they can get set up, before they connect a couple passes, you pin them in. That's always the best time to defend. And that was one of the things we worked on. And certainly, to your point, to your question, in that goal, in that moment, Nico did what he was supposed to do.
Nico Moreno.
Yes. Hey, Brian. Just with the goal today, Raul Ruiz was 2 goals away from being the top scorer in the league. Could you just kind of to the team and the effort he puts in there? And there was a play in the 80-plus minutes where, despite the lead, Nicolas Odero and Raul Ruiz were both putting their bodies on the line, going all out to try to score a goal. What does that mean for you, that those 2 guys put that type of effort?
Well, I'll answer the second part of your question fairly quickly. Those 2 guys always put their effort into trying to help the team win, score goals. Their effort is always very, very good. What I would say to you about Raul is, Nico, look, I know for Raul, he would probably argue with me on this. look, if Raul was the Golden Boot winner, I'd certainly be very proud of that. He deserves that. He's a good enough player to make that happen. But what impresses me about Raul is the quality of his goals, is the timing of his goals. It's not always a penalty because he doesn't take penalties. He doesn't score 3 goals in a 4-0 win. I mean, I remember in 2018 against Portland in the playoffs, when he kept us in the game and brought us into overtime, and it was a tremendous goal. 2019, last year, obviously in the semifinals against LAFC, you saw Raul's, killer instinct in front of the goal to help us get a MLS Cup at home. In 2020, you've seen, his goals, his contributions that way. And it always amazes me about Raul, just some of the things he does and when he does them rather than the total goal count.
Matt Pence.
Coach, there were a lot of different seeding scenarios coming in today. And right at the end, it kind of flipped from Colorado to LAFC. I was curious of what your first gut reaction was to seeing LAFC on the other side of the bracket there next to you guys.
It was fine. We were just talking about it in the coach's office, saying, well, you gotta go beat the best if you want to be the best. So obviously LAFC is going to have revenge on their mind, and they're going to want to come up here and try and do what we did to them down there. So it's going to be a very spirited game. I mean, I didn't know that it was going to be Colorado. When I was just doing the math in there, I thought it was Dallas, but you guys know better. I mean, we were getting scores on the bench, of course, but the ones we were looking at was the Sporting KC game score. That was forefront in my mind.
Andrew Harvey.
Hi, Coach. Congrats on the win here on Decision Day. My question is we talked about the weirdness of 2020 and how difficult it's been to establish a sense of normal. I'm curious, now that you're headed to the playoffs where every game is single elimination, does the inherent weirdness and difficulty of establishing a normal actually alleviate that somewhat, that it's just one game or go home and you don't have to worry about runs of form or establishing a sense of normalcy?
I mean, I don't know, Andrew. I mean, yeah, it's the weirdness, as you call it, or I called it, of 2020. The difference is, yeah, it all goes out the window. It's now it's the playoffs. Now it's money time. There's 4 games left. So in that sense, yes, I agree with you that, it feels like now a little bit like last year when there was 1 game playoff games and you had to win or you were going home. And I want to go back just a second to Matt's question. I love Decision Day. I mean, I think that's great. We were watching all of the East Coast games here in the stadium waiting for our game, some of the drama there. So as a fan, as a soccer fan, I think that's something that MLS does really well. It's great watching all the standings and the scores and all of that.
Ari.
Hey, Coach. So piggybacking back off Matt's question, you guys have seen LAFC quite a bit this year just because of how the schedule worked out with everybody playing each other kind of over and over. Is it like a different type of challenge? I was wondering, preparing for a team that you've seen this many times, or do you kind of treat it the same way as a season where you wouldn't have had this many games against the same opponent?
Yeah. Ari, number one, nice tweets. Number one. Number two, no, LAFC is going to play the same way, whether they have guys missing on international duties, whether they have some injuries, whether they, play young kids, old guys, they're going to play the same way. I went through that exercise already with Bob, a couple games in, the game where they had a bunch of injuries, where they, we torched them one day with Jordan getting behind, where they're not going to press. I mean, Bob's going to play his style. And so we are going to prepare for LAFC that plays a up-tempo game. They got Bella back. So they're going to press. They're going to press. They're going to press. They're a good attacking team. Their attacking movements we know very well. On this day, on that game, the team that executes the way they want to play, that's the team that's going to come out as a winner. That's what happened to us last year. We knew what LA was about. We scouted them. We had all the tape. We had all the film. Our team on that day just executed the game plan to perfection. And that's why we won down there. So this game is the same. We're going to approach it exactly the same. We're going to watch the film. The players are going to know their assignments. And then it's up to them to make sure that they do the job on the field.
Thanks, Coach.
Jada Evans.
Coach, it's just an easy one. I just wanted to confirm that along with Raul, that Javier and Gustav would be gone during the international break.
Yes, all three of them have been selected for their respective national teams. Yes.
Okay, Felipe.
Thank you. Congratulations for the win, Coach. I'm pretty sure fans enjoy it and they're happy. My question is regarding Christian Roldan. How can you use Christian's Roldan development with the team as an example for these all youngsters that you have in your squad?
Well, we tried to get a couple young guys on at the end of the game. Obviously, the game was important. Could I have run Josh Atencio on earlier? Who knows? Christian's development as a young man came mostly from his own sense of what he wanted to become, his own sense of his work ethic. When you use Christian as an example, here's a kid who had a unconventional, way up to the pros. He had a very, very good high school season, but he wasn't recruited that well coming into college. The University of Washington picked him, which was a good landing spot for him. But remember, when Christian came out early, he dropped from a top 5 pick to, whatever we took him at 16, 17, something like that. And people had some questions about whether Christian was, going to make it. I had no doubt that Christian was going to make it. I actually watched him many, many times at the University of Washington when they were doing their practices. I would used to go to their practices to watch, and I could tell right away that Christian had the drive and the endeavor and the smarts to become a good player. So how do I relate that to the younger players? Yes, I use Christian as an example, but I think the training environment that we try and provide for the young players is most important. They have to understand that it's critical for their development that they have to work hard. That's a given, but they also have to work smart. And that's what we're trying to provide for Josh and Danny and, Shandon, who came on today, Ethan, all of those young players, AOC. That's what we're trying to provide.